Good morning to those who have just joined us. Welcome to MVB's Sustainable Living webinar. I'm Alistair Spears, the chairman of MVB, and welcome to you all. We will start when we get a few more participants, but we're going to take you down the road to healthier and more sustainable living. So it's very much worthwhile to stay on board with us until you hear all of our expert presenters talking today. Welcome, and we'll start in about 5 minutes. For those who are with us, welcome. For those who can't get online, we have got a YouTube video live going on in parallel to this. So we know that some people like to do it that way. But those who are with us today will be starting very shortly. Good morning and welcome again to those who have just joined us. We're about to start shortly with our Sustainable Living webinar. We'll just give it another couple of minutes to, I think my watch is a bit fast. We're just past 10 o'clock now, so apologies for starting a little bit early. You know that us boulets like to be on time. It's a very bad habit that we have. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to MVB's Sustainable Living webinar. We're going to be talking this morning with some experts on things that can change your life. Now, for those of you who are really into the big picture of sustainability, you probably joined last week's astonishing repertoire of sustainability in the Indonesian Circular Economy Forum organized by Greeneration, which is a wonderful foundation, which one of our panelists is part of as well. I think they're all really part of it too. Everybody is part of the big picture in circular economy. But we at MVB looked at that with amazement, and we looked at that with great joy, because suddenly we have a lot of people taking attention to the big picture of sustainability in the country. We had government officials from many different departments, because sustainability is not something which is sectoral. It's not just one sector, it's all sectors. It's transportation and tourism and manufacturing and all aspects of life, the water supply and our air, all of it comes in to play. So it was very, very pleasing to see that. But we at MVB thought, well, that is such a big picture. Why don't we go back to the small picture? What can people themselves do? So to all of you who are attending today, every one of this, thank you, every one of this, of our panelists has got something to speak to you. You don't need to be a company owner. You don't need to be a government official. Sustainability is something that starts at home and your own behavior. So what we're trying to do is to give you some practical things to do. And that's why we've invited our four speakers who are able to bring it down to your level. Now, they may talk about the big picture as well, because we have to fit into that big picture. But what we're trying to do is to make sure that there is a real basis for you changing the way in which you live to help. Now, here in Indonesia, when I first arrived, which was before our Indonesian friends on the panel, I arrived here in December 1978. There were 125 million people in Indonesia. Within my stay, we've gone up to 270, which is one of the things that puts a great strain on sustainability, is the number of people here. We have to behave better when we've got more people, and we're not behaving better. 125 million people with no plastic packaging, with no motorcycles, with no, still with fresh water in the rivers. 270 million means that it has to come down to all of those 270 million behaving better. Behaving better comes down to knowing what to do, which is why we're having this webinar. So I'm going to start off by introducing our first speaker, Hannah Nur Auliana, who is from our great friends Waste for Change, who have made a major difference to the perception on waste. Let me introduce her, then we'll go straight into her presentation, and after that we'll go on to David Christian from EvoWare, then we'll have some questions. So welcome from me, Alistair Spears, the chairman of MVB Indonesia. We are here to help people find solutions. And how do you find solutions? You find solutions through experts. And Hannah is one of those experts. Let me just give you a quick introduction to Hannah. She was fascinated by the concept of healthy and conscious living and has been involved in local nature preservation movements since her university years. Doesn't look as if it was that long ago, Hannah. You still look very young. She did biomedical engineering at Swiss German University and continued then in her work in ProSehat, a mobile-based health innovation startup. She moved into Waste for Change in 2015, and that really, she joined them full-time in 2016, having volunteered. And she's made crucial contributions to Waste for Change, helping to develop their standard operating procedures, which I have seen and am very impressed with. She's the brain of Waste for Change Business Development Division, and her responsibility is to explore and ensure Waste for Change future collaborations and business expansion. But Hannah, does that come down to people as well? does it come down to involving your interaction, not just with companies and government departments, but with people. So I'm going to pass over to Hannah. She's going to give a presentation. Stay online and listen to how you can change your waste management personally at home and in your office. Over to you, Hannah. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Mr. Alistair. And I also very agree that it comes down to the personal level. When we cannot change the system, I think it's because we cannot change how the people behavior and take awareness about this issue. So I think it is very important to know that we have to also change the people, the mindset, and also the awareness about these issues in sustainability, or maybe comes down to the waste management itself. So yeah, I will share my screen to start my presentations. Is the screen clear? And I will try to make it full screen. Okay.
That's
so, yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And then it's not so just for the record, I'm not just only take you as a personal in-house, but also if you are the person who will make a decisions, or maybe a managers, or maybe just a staff in the office or in your organizations, I would like to also invite you to take the actions for sustainability for your organizations. So especially in waste management. So I would like to start with the questions. What happened to our waste, especially in the waste management? And then this is the fact. So as maybe some people here, not only just this once to know waste for change, but and also you might know that the waste generations in Indonesia is increasing again by this 2020. So it's now in 2020, it's 185,000 tons per day. And the waste management or how the waste is managed is still mostly goes into the landfill, and then the rest of it are mostly illegally managed by buried or open burning, and also unmanaged or maybe litter to the river, as you can see in the right side of my slides. There are still many recyclers who is mostly informal, who illegally littering to the river. So they just get the valuable materials, and then the invaluable materials goes right into the river, just back at their area. And then some of the waste collectors, which are mostly informal, they also illegally litter to the river because there are no monitoring from our government or maybe from our community. So that's why they voluntarily littering in the river. And it's very small for the compost and recycled material in Indonesia, which is only 7.5%. So yeah, it came back to the brand. If we are talking about the brand, usually it embedded in the packaging of the product, right? So if you are here as a brand manager or maybe the product owner who gives packaging to the consumers, so maybe you should also think about where the packaging of the product goes to after they already use the product itself. And then why it is happening still in Indonesia after so many years. I'm not talking about these whole things, but I just want to give you or show you that the problem, it's like an iceberg. Maybe we just see it in the surface, like the marine debris, the landfills landslide, also the sea animals died, and so many things. But it comes down to the character of the person or of the people in Indonesia. We have to admit that it's still Indonesian people need to be more disciplined, need more to be responsible, have responsibility, and more empathy to the environment. Yeah, so we have to admit it so that we can step up, and we know it, and then what we have to do to increase or improve our value as a whole nation. So we don't want to become more and more careless about our waste management, or maybe we have to think more about where our waste end up. And then, so how can we contribute as a person, or maybe the uh, green champions in your organizations? So I take two examples for as a consumers or personal level, and or the producers or brand or organizations. So as a consumers, you can start to segregate your waste at home, and then buy recyclable packaging product, or maybe compostable, or the more eco-friendly packaging products, and then ensure the packaging waste is recycled if it is a recyclable packaging product, or maybe if it is compostable, then you have to know that it is you can compost it right at home. And then as a producers, you can design the packagings to be as minimum as recyclables, and then educate the consumers to join your sustainability program, or this is EPR, is the extended producer responsibility. So maybe if you want to know more about it, you can Google it on, or maybe contact Waste for Change to know more about what is extended producer responsibility. And then the last example is how you can collaborate with credible waste management companies so that you can know and make sure that all the products or the packaging is managed properly and in an eco-friendly way. So this is Waste for Change. We are the responsible waste management in Indonesia. We have mainly four divisions, start from consult, campaign, collect, and create. And this is us. We founded in 2014 with a vision to reduce the amount of waste that ends up in landfill and environment. And then this is our end-to-end operational and strategic services, where we start from education and giving recommendations from our research about how to segregate and how to manage or maybe design the packaging product. And then we also collect and transport in various ways, from dropping box, pick up and send your waste. And then all of the materials will goes into our material recovery facility. And then where we sorting into more details, all the materials to become material ready for next steps, which is the recycling, or maybe composting, or processing in black soldier flies, or goes some still goes into the residual processing, such as the RDF technology. All of it, we want to make impact the same as, because we support how Indonesian government has the target in 2025, where 70% of waste are recovered and 30% of waste are reduced on source. Okay, and then how the waste management are part of the circular economy is because circular economy has three principles, and one of them is the design out waste and pollutions from the system. And this is just an example how you can segregate the waste in personal level. You can start to segregate into three types, but this is the example. If you already more advanced, you can segregate the waste into five different types of material. The first is the organic waste or the compostable waste, and then the glass, metal, plastic, or usually we call it recyclable waste, and then this paper waste. So usually if you start with three types of segregations, you can put it in the same bin, the glass, metal, plastic, and paper. But if you want to be more advanced, you can separate more because the paper usually, the paper is easily to be broken down if it is mixed with water or any other materials that usually still goes into the glass, metal, and plastic. And then the third one, or this in the fourth one, is the residual waste. Usually it is a waste, type of waste that cannot be composted or recycled. So sometimes it goes to the textile, the tissues, or now we have the mask, yeah, the medical mask. It can goes into the residual waste after you disinfect first. And then there is the hazardous waste that you can see sometimes in your house, such as electronics, electronic waste, printer ink, or bulb. Oh yeah, and then this is the some of the medical waste, such as like syringe. Yeah, that is hazardous. And then for if you are one of the people that can introduce sustainability in your products, then you can start to think about the in-store recycling, where the consumers can bring back the packaging, or send it to your offices or your store. And then there is in Waste for Change, we have EPR Digital, where we also collaborate with local waste management collectors, so that you can collect more packaging from all over the Indonesia. And then there is waste credits. This waste credits is introduced in 2020, and we already collect 40 tons of multi-layer packaging with this waste credits scheme. And then we also have the reduced waste to landfill waste collection. And yeah, this is just a glimpse of our partnership with local partners in some area, in some cities. And then this is what we give to our partners, so that they can easily report to us, and we also give the reports to our clients. So since 2015, we already reduced 5,000 tons of CO2 equivalents, or it is the same as we already planted 94,000 of trees for 10 years. And then this is other impacts where we also increasing the recycling rate. The waste treatment is better to 2.8 better than the baseline in Indonesia. And then the landfill disposal that is reduced is 7 times better than the baseline. Also, we give the impact for the social empowerment, where we also training local champions for 5,000 leaders, and also the community-based implementations in 35 areas, and increasing income for our operators and partners in local, where we, yeah, this is the numbers, 500,000 USD, that already increasing. And then this is our clients that already support and give valuable feedback for us to be better and better every time. Okay, maybe that's all for me. I would like to, looking forward for your questions and would like to have more discussions on this. Thank you. Back to you, Alistair.
Thank you, Hannah. We're coming to the questions after we listen to our new speaker. I certainly have got 10 questions ready for you already. And I think everybody is the same. I mean, advancing technology is a really difficult thing. Multi-layer plastic bags are fantastic, right? That's what keeps your chips and crisps and snacks fresh, but are very hard to dispose. But we have to say, look, we have to find ways of getting around that again. So it's a very difficult subject. But what you're saying to us is very simple. You can do it at home. Waste for Change can help you, or one of your partners can help you. We'll come back to the questions a little bit later. I'm going to go on to another solution provider, David Christian at EvoWare. We've been working with both Waste for Change and EvoWare for quite some time now, and we love hearing the things that they do because they come up with new ideas, new approaches all the time. So let me just introduce David and let him tell us. I'm sure he's got more new things to tell us about because he always does. David Christian is founder and CEO of Evo & Co. That they work under 3 different brands: EvoWare, EvoWorld, and Rethink Campaign. It has a vision to create a world without plastic pollution, not without plastic, but without plastic pollution, by providing one-stop solution for single-use plastic alternatives. He studied in Canada, and then when he came back, he was surprised at how bad the environmental condition is in Jakarta. No surprise anymore, is there, David? It's not a surprise to anybody. So he wants to make a positive impact with what he does with Evo & Co. Outside of Evo & Co, he's the head of maritime agriculture, forestry, and environment in HIPMI, the Indonesian Young Entrepreneurs Association. He's also a co-founder and chairman of Terra B Pro, a social enterprise focused on environmental management. And he is listed as Forbes under 30 in Indonesia and Asia. The Forbes under 30 list, that's pretty prestigious. And of course, he uses these positions to inspire and hopefully engage with people to be more sustainable. So David, over to you. Inspire us to be more sustainable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alistair, for the introductions. Thank you very much also, Hannah, for the presentation earlier. Hi everyone, my name is David Christians from Evo & Co, as Alistair earlier already introduced me. And if you guys can already see my presentations, please let me know. Yeah, is it ready there? Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah. So a little bit about us, about Evo & Co. So we have, I think, also like Alistair already mentioned, that our vision is to create a world without plastic pollutions by providing one-stop solutions for single-use plastics, and also creating a collaborative plastic awareness movements so that we can create those visions that we dream. So our company's values is 3. So innovations first. We always try to keep innovating and also bringing innovations that are sustainable, and also collaborations, because we believe to create a world without plastic pollutions, we cannot do it alone. So collaboration is really like the key factor for us to create a world without plastic pollutions, right? Before we before I talk more about what we do and then what our product is, I think like Hannah also already mentioned earlier about how we actually like plastic are really like dangerous for the environment, because especially the like the materials is very like hazardous. And then how our everyday life actually, from our straws or like like the like our coffee, everything is just plastics, right? And then it is really like we need to change that. And then I think like for us especially that we know that also like our smallest choice could lead to our biggest problems, right? When we think about like plastics or like like sometimes we only think, oh, this is only one plastic straws, or this is only one plastic bag. But 7 billion of us thinking about it, and it's become like 7 billion pieces of plastic waste that we create, right? Even from this like just one. So we need to actually like rethinking about our habit. We need to rethinking about our lifestyles, how we can actually like as a consumer especially, and also as a business, how we can have a we can choose to actually contribute to the better, not like to the problems, right? So we have to start small, start from ourselves, and then from there we can actually just make a world a better place. And I think the first most important things is to actually rethinking about the way we do things, rethinking the way we produce, rethinking the way we actually also consume, right? And just rethinking about the plastics itself. So the first the first step that we need to do are actually reduce. So so if we don't need to use the plastics, right? So we don't actually need to use it. So for example, if we're talking about straws, right? So I have like this beautiful cups here, glass from I get it from MVB as well. So the cup is already designed so that we can drink directly from the cup, right? So we don't need to use straws because it defeat the purpose of the design of the cup itself. So we can reduce, right? And then if we go to restaurants, usually here in Asia, they kind of like automatically give us straws and we can just refuse it, right? Because we know we can just drink directly from the cups. But if we need to use straws, like for example, either because maybe you're sick or hygiene issue, or you're using cosmetic lipsticks, things like that, you can like we can replace that by using the more sustainable products, or the reusable products that if we can bring it like everywhere, right? And then at the end of the day, if you still using plastics, don't let the plastic become waste. You can like recycle it. Here now we have which for change, we have Parompong as well here that can give out like a lot of solutions for the recyclings, right? So I think like by doing that step by step, this step is really important for us to create a world without plastic pollutions. For Evo and Co itself, we're focusing on replacing. So so I'll also like let you know like some of the products that you can do, or like you can actually like get to actually replace all of these single-use plastics that we have. So with our first brand, it's called EvoWare. Back in 2016, like we create this brand EvoWare that are focusing on alternatives that made of seaweed. So in the first product we have edible cups. This edible cup is called Elo Jello. It's made of seaweed. You can, of course, because edible, you can eat it, and then it's have like a lot of like taste. Like we have like different flavors, and then but at the end of the day, if you're not actually like eating it, it can be like composted as well in like 30 days. And yeah, like for people usually using it for party, like birthday party or like events or like weddings, to make the party more fun and also like more eco-friendly at the same times, right? So instead of using those like plastic cups in the party, you can use these eligible cups. You can drink and make the party more fun and eat it. And the second products that we launched in 2017 is invented by my friend, and to create this seaweed-based packaging to replace single-use small sachet packaging as well. So we are actually like preventing like to become a waste first. That's why we actually providing this all of these alternatives. Uh, like for example, can be used, the flexible seaweed packaging can be used for instant noodle seasoning, or like coffee sachet, because it's also edible and it is actually dissolved in the water. And then so you can just put hot water directly in your coffee sachet or in your instant noodle seasoning, and you can just eat it. Can be used for like wrappers, like burger wraps, and then also for soap as well. So so not only like food products, but also non-food products like soap packaging, or like sanitary pad, or any kind of like a flexible packaging that we can use like in this seaweed-based packaging as well. And also it can be composted, home compostables also, in like under like 30 days this one. So for the EvoWare, our focus is to provide the alternative from seaweed, and then as well as we want to help the seaweed farmers here, because Indonesia is the largest seaweed producer in the world. And then but a lot of our farmers, they are actually like very poor, so we want to also create a program that help them as well. And then because seaweed actually absorb carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. So in fact, 70% of our oxygen is actually coming from the oceans. And one of it is also coming from seaweed. So we can actually have multiple benefits by using seaweed as a main materials for the packaging. Yeah, and then 2019, we launched our second brand. It's called EvoWorld. This is another single-use plastic alternatives, but not made from seaweed, so from another materials. So EvoWare focusing on seaweed, EvoWorld is the other materials other than the seaweed. So we have like the bio cassava bags to for the shopping bag, and then to replace the styrofoam boxes, we have like the sugarcane containers. And then we have as simple as from like woodens or bamboo that can be reusables, or like paper that we supply to also like our like B2B clients, but also to the like individuals. For example, we have also like straws that made of rice, so it is also like edible. So we have like the whole package of, if you want to create a party, if the cups edible, the straws are edible as well. So yeah, so we have that as well. And like other things, like we usually can be like customs for the businesses, but for individuals, this is what we usually sells, and people usually like buy as well, especially in the bamboo categories there. And then we have our third one is the rating campaign. So the rating campaign are we focusing to actually create a collaborative movements, right, between individuals, communities, like governments or NGO and businesses, or even like our clients as well. So we are not only providing like a products or like a solutions, but also create the awareness, because I think creating awareness is also one of the key to create a world without plastic pollutions, right? More people become aware, more people, more impact that we can give as well. So we do a lot of activities in 2019 before the pandemics, from drama musicals. We do beach cleanups. We do like we plant trees. We plant 10,000 trees with the Burger Group at that time. We do like plugging run. It's like jogging while picking up trash. So we do a lot of like different like offline events there, because of the pandemic hit. So we try to also raise awareness in a different way, creating programs and still collaborating and making an impact with other business as well, right? So one of the programs that we create now are actually we collaborating with Parompong here, with Randy, that to actually collect and recycles cigarette butts. As we know that cigarette butts are also very harmful, yeah, and it's also like there is also like plastic in it. So Parompong has been doing a great job, actually like recycles cigarette butts and turn it into high value products. I think like later like Randy can explain more about that. Our part here in Ifo and Co are actually helping on the collections. So we collect the cigarette butts, like we make the campaign distributing butts. We actually like goes to like we do the pilot projects to coffee shops and cafes in Jakarta and Bandung, and we collect it using our organic bags. It's like from seaweed or from cassava as well. Like we can do it. So in the collections is like it can be more like touchless, so it won't actually spread the virus, especially in Randy's factory, right? Like on the like recycling like factory there. So like we use that, so because then the bags can be directly just put in like in Parompong's machine as well. So for that, actually by doing this, you as an individuals, you can also support us, because we actually like opens like for that like in actually in Benih Baik, like later on, like we can share you as well. So if you want to contribute as an individuals and maybe kind of like offset your cigarette butts, or want to collect the cigarette butts and like send it to us, like you can also like doing it in the spots that we have like later on, that we will also like I will share the link later, and then the information more later, I think like in the chat as well. And then like the second programs that we do this year is called Warung Lestari, or Sustainable Food Stall. This is we working with carbon ethics, because as mentioned earlier, we always try to collaborate. So in the Warung Lestari or Sustainable Food Stalls, the idea is like we're doing a plastic credit programs or plastic offset program, but our plastic offset focusing more on actually avoid the waste, like avoiding the plastics to become waste in the first place. And the beneficiaries are actually warung, or those small food stalls. In Indonesia, we have a lot of warungs, right? And the goal, and we see that we have the solutions, and then government's regulation is already there. But even the government regulations now more actually focusing on middle upper income classes, like malls, or like high end like restaurants, and they're already more aware for sure. But we want to actually tap into middle lower income class, like micro businesses as well. So you as individuals later on, you can also support us by actually offsetting, like if you want to offset your plastics, we have a programs with the Warung Lestari, like the activities that we do in Warung Lestari. Actually, we subsidizing, like we started with straws, so we subsidizing the straws, our paper straw and rice straws, to become cheaper than plastics, like using those like the plastic offset like money that like the sponsor gave, and then we will distribute it to warungs. But at the same time, we will also educate the warung. So first we will educate them to change their habit to not give the straw if the customer don't ask about it. So we ask the warung owners to actually just not giving straw, like if the customer don't ask about it. But if customer asks about the straws and they want to use straws, they will give the more sustainable straws, which is like the paper straw or like the rice straw that we give. So so we are actually targeting to replace 1 million straws this year. Hopefully it can be achieved, and also helping 5,000 warung to become a warung lestari, or 5,000 food stall to become a sustainable food stall in that. So you can also like offset as individuals, you can support and offset the straws, like the plastics with that as well. Yeah, so I think that's from us. We cannot solve a problem by using the same kind of thinking when we created them. So we need to rethinking about it on the productions, innovation for the products, but as well as the business models, and as an individuals that we can create that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, David. That's inspiring stuff. And once again, we have practical solutions there. We're going to go into a quick question and answer session for our first two speakers. I'd like to bring Hannah back together with David, and let's dive into, there are some questions already online, I know, which is great. We are, Adrian, we are recording this and we're sharing everything, and all the presentations will be shared as well. So anybody who thinks they've missed something, don't worry, you'll be able to get it. You just need to communicate with any of our team at MVB and we'll get you the presentation. We have got a couple of serious questions from John Slack asking about whether commercial buildings can also benefit from Waste for Change services. And I know Hannah and her team will be on that instantly. And their partners down in Bali, Eco Bali, who are fantastic. In fact, I believe the wonderful Italian lady there, Paola, was one of Sano, the head of Waste for Change's mentors, and has really inspired him. So they're well on it down in Bali as well. I'm going to lead off with a couple of questions, which is actually going to go to both of you, I think. We heard during the Indonesian Circular Economy Forum about this reducing by 30% and getting 70% targets. Is that really possible, Hannah? I mean, it's all, we've heard all of the numbers crunched many times. It sounds so good. And all of the government officials were going to 70% and 30% reduction. It all sounds good. Are they going to make it?
Okay.
Without getting yourself into trouble, of course.
Yeah.
Just a personal opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want to share some of my personal thoughts. I think it's gonna be hard to get it in the 2025.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so the timeline itself, it's hard already. Also, it's because we already hit by this pandemic 2020 and 2021, and I don't know whether next year it will be okay or not. Because why I also bring the pandemic talk about this, it is because some of the budget that already allocated for the waste management goes into the
managing the pandemic. Yes.
Yeah, so I think it will be take longer time to get the target of 30% of reducing and 70% of process of all the waste. So yeah, I think it's gonna be hard, but I believe if more people in the community that already aware, spreading awareness more and more to the people that unaware about these issues, I think it's gonna be slightly goes into faster, but I don't think it will get it. We will get it in 2025. I don't know.
I don't think so either. I'm sorry to put you on the spot there, but I don't see the momentum and the desperation there yet.
Yeah.
I always think that real action takes place when a landfill dump actually lands on a minister's house, and his wife says, "Get on with it," because that's when real action takes place. When the minister's wife says, my darling, you're not doing a good job, get on with it. This has affected our family. Anyway, that's a very cynical view from me. Look, one of the things that's happened during this pandemic has been the increase in food deliveries and all sorts of deliveries, which has increased household waste because people are eating, they're getting their Go food, their Grab food, and their Shopee food, and all of that stuff. To both of you, how many restaurants, David, are using your or other recyclable and reusable products in their deliveries? Has that started to take place? I know everyone's now got into food deliveries. Have they got into, is there anybody got a sustainable food delivery system? I know I've seen a couple of them, but isn't that something that should be online? All of our deliveries are done in recyclable packaging or something like that. Have you seen any of that, David? Second question back to Hannah is, if we made it compulsory for the Go food or Grab food people to take away the previous meal when they do the delivery, you can't do a delivery without taking away some garbage at the same time. Wouldn't that be fantastic? You suddenly get 20 million motorcycle delivery people taking away the garbage as well. I mean, that's just a sort of thinking outside the box. I know that motorcycle deliveries come to your door, they say, here it is, and they go away empty-handed. Why couldn't they go away with your waste in their hands? So two different things there on the whole pandemic thing, the actual deliveries and better recyclable products, and could we get Waste for Change and Gojek working together? So let's start with David and restaurants and food chains taking up your products and saying, I'm only delivering with responsible materials.
Yeah, thank you, Alistair. Yeah, for us, we actually see an increase on our business as well because of that, for sure, right? Like, last year, I think because of like the first PSBB, right? That's like the restaurants cannot be opened even for delivery, right? So our actually our sales is actually going down a lot on that. But I think now even though PPKM and then but the restaurants cafe, they can still be opened, and then but only for delivery. So a lot of our clients, especially because here in Jakarta, started from July last year, there is already like the law that like restaurants or especially in the malls, they cannot use the single-use plastic bags, right? So like we see an increase on that for sure. So now more and more of our clients, they're using like especially for the bags, like they're not using a plastic bag anymore. Some of them, they use like the reusable bags, but I say that like the reusable bags need to be used for individuals, right? So we as individuals, we go to restaurants, we want to take away, we use the reusable bags. But if we buy from online, and then like those like the drivers, whether it's like Gojek or like Grabs, they like they go to restaurants, and every time we buy the like food, but they keep like sending us the reusable bag, then the reusable bag is become single-use bag, right? It's just different materials. So that's why we always like also like explain that to our clients, and then tell them that, hey, like it's need to be still single use, but still like the compostable one and eco-friendly one, or else the terms like usable bags is just become a term, is still gonna be a single use, right? So we see an increase on that in our business for sure. Now more and more companies are actually doing that, but I think that's also government regulation is very important, and also we as a customer, we as an individual as customer also play very important role on that, right? Because the business will listen to the customers. So customer demands more sustainable products. They need to do that, or else they will lose customers, because there's gonna be another business that provide that solutions, right? And even like governments, so we are the one that actually elect the governments, right? So if more people are actually like demand change, and like they need to create those. So I think how we can actually also engage more individuals and to become a voice in our this issue, right? I think that would be great as well.
Thank you, David. We got a lot more questions on waste. We knew we would from Florencia. Hi, Hannah, can you explain what will happen with the residual waste? That's always the question, especially with food delivery services. There must be a lot of food packaging with oils on it and smelly too. Yes, we know that. She really admires the work you do. Let's just answer that one straight away.
Okay, so I will answer Florencia first, and then
yes, please. Let's just answer one by one.
Okay. So for the residual waste, we have services called zero waste to landfill, where we store the residual waste. So first we sorted out everything that is residual from the rest of the waste that is compostable or recyclables. And then the residual waste will be sent or transported into our partner, which has the RDF technology. So the RDF technology is the power plant for cement industry. So that's where our residual, most of our residual waste goes into. So there is this one services called zero waste to landfill, where you can be assured that no residual waste goes into the environment and also not goes into the landfill.
There is always a question of the emissions from RDF plants as well, but that's a very big challenge which we still face as well. But at least it's going to incineration and ends up as clean as can be at the current technology, right?
Yeah, yeah, true. That is the better way, but more better if you have to reduce the residual waste in the first place.
Indeed.
And also for your for your questions about the Gojek,
yes,
yeah, taking up the waste from the maybe previous time, yeah. So that is called reverse distribution.
yes.
So we already get called by expeditions, such as there are some that call us and then want to take collaboration actions about this, because they send many cardboard or bubble wraps, and then it taking pile up in their gudang, in their warehouse. And then they said that I think we need to take actions and want to educate the suppliers too, because I think I see some people here asking about Tokopedia suppliers that using 3 layers of bubble wrap. So yeah, we already get call from some expeditions that they want to collaborate and want to educate the suppliers to reduce the amount of residual or this packaging that is not needed. And some want to also get your idea about the reverse distributions. So where the people, the tukang ojek will get some recyclables from the consumer houses.
Let's get that going. We really got to influence them, because there's two problems there. One of they're going back empty-handed, which they could be taking waste away. Secondly, once again, is pollution, it's usage of energy, and it's polluting on an empty-handed journey. A ship owner won't do that, or a plane owner won't do it. Why would a motorcycle owner do it?
Also, Leslie, sorry, Alistair, I just want to give you the positivity. I think it is maybe it is very slow to get government get all this thing works, but I think with this more and more collaborations and more people aware with their organizations, whether it is in private sectors or maybe community or NGOs, we can get it better and better, I think. Yeah.
Excellent. From Jessica Januarti for David Christian. What is the challenge for business owners to switch their plastic packaging with more sustainable options? She sees that Evo and Co have been working together with a lot of F&B brands, but still found them using plastic-based, for example, in Chat Time. Yes, I know Chat Time, is everyone loves Chat Time, but they got those big plastic straws. Do you have an alternative for them? The EvoWare Chat Time solution?
Yeah, so I think for sure one of the main problem is the cost, right? But you know, yeah, like it just depend how you know, like this business, like whether they want to like how they can like whether they need to get like less profit, or they like for example chat times, you know, it's only straws, like for example like the straws, right? It's just difference maybe 100 200 rupiah you know. So even if either like the price increase 200 rupiah, I think people will not notice, right? Because chat time is like quite like expensive as well. But yeah, we actually like in touch like with them as well, and then I heard that they will start to actually change the like the straws, especially first in Chatham like atelier, but like but I cannot like promise anything as well. We need to for sure see when is already taking place, right? But there is been conversations with them as well on that. But the main problem is for sure those especially, yeah, like plastics for sure is cheaper than the alternatives, because it's been around for more than 60 years. I believe the first time is created is not as cheap as today as well. It just matters how we can actually get the first adapter, the first mover, and then creating those you know like awareness as well. Because even though it's cheaper, but in the long terms it's much more expensive, right? To actually just clean the plastic in the oceans, or you know the effect on the environment and stuff like that. That what we always try to like educate them as well, that it's cheaper just short term, long term is more expensive.
That's true, David. The hidden costs, not the direct costs, and that's what we're now paying. Society is paying. You've just answered Edward, my son down in Bali, was online asking the same question. Is it financial? You just said yes. We'll come to the mindset in a second, but it is primarily financial. Now, there's three reasons for people change. One is because they want to. The consumer wants to drive that change. Secondly, because there's legislation, the government wants to drive the change. And thirdly, because the company itself thinks it has to become more responsible. So we have to work on all three of those aspects at the same time. Edward's second question, would you love to know any ideas how to overcome the hurdles? Well, that comes back to the wonderful presentation from Hannah, who says, how do we change the national character? Now, as a foreigner living in Indonesia, I'm not allowed to comment on this at all, but Hannah and David, as your contribution to it, how do we change the national character? Which is apparently, according to a few of the questions, that's the problem. We're not focused on this as a nation. What's the answer, Hannah? How do you change the national character? How do they become like you?
Yeah, so sadly, I would like to give you the example, like, you know, seatbelt, right? The seatbelts regulations. It more people in Indonesia, most of them, want to use the seatbelt or the safety belt in the car. It's not because the safety it gives, but it is because they don't want to be on the police stations because of they don't use it. So I think the better a better approach to take this is by the law enforcement. So we need to have the strong law enforcement, and how we can get it, it's not by depend on our government, the local government, but by using the system in Taiwan. There is this, so the people who report the illegal or the people who litter maybe in the river or in the road can take a pictures, and then they can get
Citizen arrests.
Yeah, so the police is not the police, but it's our the community, our people who already aware. And then because there is the incentives for the people who report the illegal person, yeah, illegally, yeah. Yeah, I think it also brings to increase the awareness of the people. Maybe start from the incentive first, but after that, they can know why it is not allowed to litter or maybe take illegal management or waste management. Yeah.
Yeah, look, we've only got time for one more question. I see a long question on bubble wrap from Jonathan Badman, who's absolutely right. It's just astonishing when you get anything. Of course, it's done for our benefit. Our product doesn't get damaged, but it is quite, you know, you have a package that size and inside is a tiny little package. The rest is bubble wrap. Yeah, we need to address that quite considerably. Tokopedia needs educating. Whoa, Jonathan, that's difficult. They're a decacorn. They are financially mighty, and everyone who's talking today is financially insolvent. Their success needs to be tempered with responsibility. You're absolutely right. The last question, because we have to go on to our next speakers. We're already past our Q&A time. Household waste from Barbara Yanti. She says, can we use the existing RT system? Because they're already doing it all over the country. Why can't we educate the housewives through the RT, how to make it more attractive? I think that's an extremely good idea. Everyone pays them anyway. They're already doing an inefficient system. Why can't we change it to an efficient system? Hannah, can it be done?
Yeah.
Are you ready to send people out to every RT to educate them?
Yeah, because there is this Zoom technology, and people already use it for sometimes for 1 year and more. I think we can gather all RT across Indonesia to know more about the responsible waste management. And also we can introduce them about the waste bank, because we also facilitate the area that we manage to have the waste bank in the area. So the waste bank is more attractive for the people, especially who wants more incentives for the segregations. So yeah, let's
do it. Okay. I just will comment on Restu's question before we go on to our next speakers. General perception that eco-friendly products are more expensive or less affordable. We know that, but that's only the direct cost. If you want to pay the full cost, including disposal and social costs, it is cheaper to do the right thing. So thank you. I'm going to have to say thank you to Hannah and David, but don't go away because I'm sure there'll be more questions coming in the second time. Very good opening. We've already solved most of the problems in waste and replacing items in our household. Nobody will have a party without using wooden or bamboo cutlery from now on. David, you have my guarantee on that. They cannot buy plastic anymore. Okay, thank you, everybody. We're going on to two more speakers with two different, slightly different views on this. So let us say thank you to Hannah and David and go on to Randy. Randy from Parongpong is a researcher, architect, and entrepreneur, and he's got actually far too many good ideas. That's the problem, and we're going to have to restrict him to one or two today because it goes on and on. He is the founder of Parongpong Raw Lab. He's the CEO of Raw House, founder of Tokopong Group, co-owner of Bergreens Bandung, general manager of Rumah Strawberry Resort and Organic Farm. He is graduated in architecture, started a gallery Guerrilla, a free exhibition center for young artists. He's also the co-founder of Reset Indie Indonesia, community-based research center responsible for the birth of Alinea, Indonesia's first animatronic project. I didn't know that. He took his master's degree and then worked voluntarily for Studio Habitat under Habitat for Humanity project as a project coordinator. Wow, he just continues to do more and more things, but usually in the sort of housing architecture, which is his background. He has done, oh, well, so many things. Montauk Tin Mining City Workshop 2011 as head workshop coordinator. Now, I think his CV goes on for another 2 pages here. Better than he tells you about himself. Randy, over to you. What are you doing now? I know everything that you've told us in the past has been really fantastic. So what's the new from you? Thank you.
Thank you, Alistair. So I did send the short version of my CV for the sake of today webinars.
That was the short version. Okay. I don't want the long version then. Thanks.
So yeah, my name is Randy Aditya Wahid. Thank you very much for everyone to have us today. I think I will, to save our time, I will tell you guys what is it with Parangpong. So did you see my screen right now with Parangpong on it? Okay, so Parangpong is basically a private research institute that I founded in 2017 because I want to make a village for my son. So to make our own village, we need to think about 2 things. What kind of people living in this village and what kind of infrastructure we should build. So these 2 things actually lead me to many pilot project, prototyping, research. And basically what we do is actually we just want to look for solutions because we know that Indonesia have a lot of problems, as mentioned by Mbak Hana before, and also my partner David, that yeah, we have so many problems. But for me, there's 3 things that I don't want to give to my son. The first is about we are the biggest ocean pollution after China, and we are the biggest food waster after Saudi Arabia. And the third thing is we have the biggest waste disaster 15 minutes from my village. It's called Lewi Gajah disaster in 2005, I think, and it's like 16 years, nothing much happened. So when I have my son, I'm looking for a way to look how we should treat our waste, or even questioning is there waste, because me personally, I believe there's no such thing as waste. It's only underutilized materials. So with Parangpong, because we already discussed many things before, of course, I want my village to have people who segregate their waste and not bring their waste to the landfills, as mentioned by Mbak Hana. And also I want everyone to use alternative for single-use plastic, as mentioned by David. I want my son to party with all those good stuff. And I also want to have my neighbors to only use, let's say, walking or bicycles or skateboarding, whatever, not using fossil fuel, as maybe presented by Mas Purwanto after this. But today, after we discuss about all of that thing, I want to discuss, can we become producers instead of consumers? Because when we consume, we produce waste. But if you produce something from waste, that will be another thing. So since 2017, we use food waste as a liquid fertilizer, and then we use recycled styrofoam as a building materials. Yeah, and then we have the biggest campaign in 2019 to turn all the election banner into back. At the moment, we work with many stakeholders, and then as mentioned by David before, we have this ashtray that we managed to showcase in Paris Maison Objet. It's made entirely from cigarette butt, and then we use recycled plastic to make a composter, and then we won the Indonesian Furniture Craft Award in 2020 with our stools made from recycled material, cigarette butt, and also masks. And then we try to think about how to replace the food container using, let's say, on this case is a leaf. So yeah, we're working with so many things, but today I want to discuss about something that we create maybe from our own house or even like our neighbor house that nobody is talking about. It's the biggest single waste from the ocean, and it's actually plastic. So cigarette butt is actually made from cellulosa acetate synthetic, which is actually a plastic. And in 2019, before pandemic, we start to do a research on it, how to solve this waste with impact entrepreneurship approach. So yeah, of course, as everybody knows, people start to rethink about how they move forward in their life during this pandemic, and one of them is to stop smoking. But actually, the cigarette butt is there since 10 years ago because it can only dissolve in 10 years, and actually it can go to your water and food system. That's why I think this kind of waste is very personal. We see it every day. We don't have any knowledge on how to tell people to stop making them, and we also don't know when we collect them, where should we put it, because most of the cleanup, beach cleanup whatsoever right now, if they got this kind of waste, they will collect it, send it to landfills, and in the end it's end up to our ocean and river again, because 80% of the waste in the ocean is coming from the land actually. So what we do is actually we collect the cigarette butt before pandemic, of course, because you know that saliva is actually one of the medium for the virus to spread, and turn it into products. And we are using hydrothermal machine. We are the only and first using this waste material methods on cigarette butt waste. Right now we are working with many producers. We are managing around 2 until 3 tons per month, and we create products. And then actually from this kind of methods, we get organic pesticide for your garden, and we got the fiber for your for our products. And of course, you can help us to do it, because right now we are working with FONCO. They managed to have this container, which actually organic, so it will not make a problem on my recycle process, but it's actually ensure that all the virus kept inside. So right now we're talking about around almost 100 pick up point all over Indonesia working with us to support this campaign. So what we do basically is using this hydrothermal machine to get sterile, homogen, and actually virus-free materials. As you can see, we get the liquid and pulp. I will not go too much on this, but actually the fun fact is, since we are using cigarette butt, we are stopping to use imported fiber used for our product. So the imported fiber, actually, you can calculate how much effort and cost should goes into this imported product, and now we get it locally for free because the sponsors or producers supporting this treatment. So this is actually the benefits. It's very fast, 30 to 60 minutes process, and it's could sterilize the materials. It separate the material without any on-hands process, so it's actually super safe on this pandemic. And we could make a variation of the characteristic of materials using our methods. And yeah, it's a small scale compared to what happened right now on waste, but right now we are working and talking with a lot of stakeholders to make it upscales. So this is our product, and it got a very nice texture. If you are familiar with this kind of material, it's actually comparable to travertine marbles, which is 2.5 million per meter, and our product costs less and actually made from recycled materials, and it's local. And this is our winner product. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of orders. This is one of our best product, actually. I just want to tell you guys that actually for waste to material, the key is not to have an ugly product, because when people buy your product just because it's so-called eco or like, you know, made from recyclable, that's it. We are actually not being fair in terms of business. But if you have a very nice product, people don't care what it's made of, and when they know the story behind it, people will give you more support. So this is how we do it. We have so many products right now. We have a pot that actually will be launched together with our partner Carbon Ethics. So every time you purchase our pot, we will calculate how much carbon that we may use to make this product, and we will offset it by planting mangrove all over Indonesia. And we also give a education campaign that we could stop the cigarette butt already thrown away 10 years ago, not becoming microplastic and went to your water and food. So yeah, this is all the research that's been done at this moment on cigarette butt. We are sending our product to outside Indonesia too, because some of waste that we got right now is coming from first world country. So we send back this waste with a very good product, and it actually sell very well. So right now we're in Europe and Japan. Hopefully this year we will go to Korea too. So we work with many factory to do on research. If you have like textile, you have, let's say, diapers, you have masks, wet tissues, all the residual waste that right now doesn't have any really concrete solution. Now we are able to put it on a high value product, and hopefully we could make a very good business model as a circularity working with many SMEs in Indonesia. So from the factories become material waste, we are developing material with, we are still using concrete actually, and we build things. Right now, if you go to Gelora Bung Karno, most of the things that produce outside the Gelora Bung Karno is actually made by us. So this is all the small products that you can get. Also, we're already in many e-commerce. But of course, I don't want to stop here, because as I mentioned before, I want to make a village. So we turn it into building material at the moment. And this is our award winner prototype. It's called Rao House. House is actually right now the winner of Good Design Award, and we also the winner of Wirausaha Bank Mandiri 2020. We are best of the best business plan from 11,000 business plans submitted last year. And we want to have this village started in many big cities in Indonesia. Right now we're talking about Bandung, Jakarta, Jogja, and Bali. And imagine we live in a village made entirely from our own waste to create a home for our children. So this is what Parangpong do. I do hope that what we do is actually something that you can apply. I really believe that, because I'm not rich, I'm not a celebrity, I'm not someone, some powerful government people or whatever. I'm just a citizen like you guys. I just only have good intention and internet and a lot of friends. So I believe that what I share today, you can do it too. And if you want to help us, me and David have this campaign in benihbaik.com. And if you want to know more about what we can do to stop this cigarette butt for ending up to the landfills and end up to our water and food, you can log in. David, I think, already shared the link, and I do hope we can collaborate in the near future. So that's me. Thank you. I'll give it back to you, Alistair.
Thank you, Randy. That's once again inspiring stuff. And I see huge amount of scalability here. You know, where people go to smoke, where do they go to smoke? They go to coffee shops to smoke, right? So you need to get some partners in McDonald's, in all of the Starbucks, or the places where people are sitting smoking. You can't have a coffee without a cigarette, right?
Yeah.
We've also got this Warung program, which we've heard about, the Warung Lestari. So why don't we pick cigarette butts in all of our partner organizations? Because I want to build villages. This is really what I would like to call a kick butt project, isn't it?
Yeah, that's nice.
So let's get on with it. We'll come back for the questions a little bit later. Randy, that was really fantastic. Our last presenter today is not about recycling, but about cycling without the re. And he is Pak Purwanto Setiadi, journalist for 25 years in some very respectable media. He wrote articles on music and then about bicycling and coffee out of a passion. He loves music and as a teenager was very enjoyed it back in his hometown in East Java. And then he got used to listening to music, got lots of different tastes, but then he went on to work for Tempo. And that gives him great credibility, managing editor of Tempo, but he still works as a freelance editor and writer. But he volunteers for Bike to Work, B2W, Indonesia, and he gets his kicks out of getting people on bicycles and getting them off their motorcycles. But Purwanto, welcome and tell us how you're doing and how we can get people to stop going 500 meters to the Indomaret on a motorcycle.
Yeah, thank you, Pa Alistair. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all well and maybe manage to get out to get through of these difficult times in safety and happily. Yes, it's right that this one is something that different from our previous speakers, but it has the same goal. So I would like to start with, I'll share my slides. Okay. First of all, I think we have to define the key idea on this topic. It is about sustainable living or net zero living. What is sustainable living? I think this one, I think you can agree on this one that sustainable living can make a big scale change or impact. And lead to better cities' lives, and of course save money. And the good thing about sustainable living is definitely within reach. One of the options we can choose is to make cycling part of our daily life. This one is a few months ago, we have a fun ride with several people from Netherlands embassies and Canada embassies, and also European Union embassy here in Jakarta. Now we can say that there is a role of cycling in sustainable living. First of all, I think we have to agree on one of the key ideas about sustainable living. It is a practical worldview that aims to reduce personal and social environmental impact by making positive changes, which counteract climate change and other negative environmental concerns. So more simply, sustainable living is a method to reducing one's carbon footprint. Now, before we proceed, it is mentioned in the definition about the negative environmental impacts and environmental concerns. What actually are concerns which might affect our goals to have sustainable living? Now, most of us lives in a city. Everywhere, cities are confronted by several problems that might affect our well-being. Now, if we look closer of all these problems, these, I think, are the most alarming issues nowadays, which are affecting our quality of life. Air pollution or high greenhouse gases emissions, traffic congestions, high fatality rate in traffic crashes, and last but not least, a sedentary lifestyle. One thing is common between these problems, especially in terms of mobility of people. It is how people are highly dependent on motorcycle or motorized vehicles. Now, let's take a look at each of one of these problems. Air pollution in Jakarta, where the total number of motorized vehicles is 22 million units. 75% of its air pollution stems from pollutants expelled into the air by motorized vehicle. This is data compiled by Jakarta Environmental Agency. And also by monitoring PM 2.5, research by Vital Strategies and Bandung Institute of Technology as that 47% of them are contributed by motorized vehicles. Now, PM 2.5 is referred to microparticles that are harmful to our people's health. Next problem is congestion. This is something that not only worsening our pollution as well as reducing productivity as a result of waste on the road. Congestion costs the economy of Jakarta and surrounding cities 100 billion rupiah a year, based on the survey conducted by National Development Planning Agency in 2018. And next problem is road accidents. Now, it seems that so far we are lacking in a sense of urgency regarding our high traffic fatality rates. According to data from the Ministry of Transportation, traffic accident costs 3 deaths every hour. The total number of fatalities should have been ignored as if it was only a statistic. It should have been instead considered as a tragedy and initiate serious action toward the improvement of road safety to avoid fatalities, or at least reduce it. And the last problem is sedentary lifestyle. Sedentary lifestyle is a type of lifestyle involving little or no physical activity. According to World Health Organization guidance, for adult, active means doing at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity every week. Lower than that will affect health. And people who are insufficiently active have a high risk of getting non-communicable diseases such as heart diseases, stroke, diabetes, and certain cancer. So sedentary lifestyle will increase the cost of public health. Now, according to World Health Organization, 60 to 85% of the population worldwide does not engage in enough activity. This makes physical inactivity the fourth leading risk factor for global mortality. In Indonesia, according to the same organization, the number of obesity rates among adults has doubled over 2 decades, last 2 decades. So from the mobility point of view, cycling is a reasonable way to sustainably getting all of these problems done. So in fact, many consider cycling as a game changer. This is according to, there are many studies that show cycling can reduce our carbon footprint and to loosen our congestion in our streets. Why cycling? So cycling is, of course, non-polluting. According to European Cyclists Federation, riding a bicycle accounts for only about 21 grams of CO2 emission per kilometer, more than 10 times less than a car. And secondly, cycling is efficient as means of mobility in the city, especially for short distances, as well as first and last mile trip. Next, cycling can reduce fatality rates of traffic accidents. And last, cycling, of course, can get people off their sofas. Now, there are many people who always ask, how can I do it? How do I start using bicycle as a means of mobility every day? When I still drove a car a few years back, I had the same question. In fact, I couldn't understand why there are people who use bicycle to get from A to B to office and or even just to roam about the city. I think the answer will vary, but experiences taught me, as well as my colleague at Bike to Work Indonesia, that these are among the things we know will help to get ourselves up for it after fulfilling, of course, commitment requirement. First, how we start to do it. Just do it. Just do it. Of course, we need some time to prepare ourselves, like we have got to be in a better shape beforehand. When I decided to take cycling for my commuting need, I have to spend about 3 months to prepare myself. So I have to, I have fit to do it, and I have guts to get on the road. Now, this is especially true if we haven't done for quite a while. Time is needed, and above all, most people also need to have a bicycle first. The second one is cycling is not safe. Well, actually, it is not as much as you probably believe. It is true that motor traffic and the potential perils it brings, at least the congestion and heightened sense of danger, is a deterrent to potential cyclists, be it for commuting or cycling for health. But actually, there are many things that are more dangerous. To name one example, I have mentioned earlier that about sedentary lifestyle. This is one of the world's biggest silent killer. So many countries are threatened by this. Accordingly, even a small amount of regular cycling can do our health the world of good.
We need to move along a little bit faster. If that's possible. We're running out of
Next
time.
is a lack of proper infrastructure. Now good thing in Jakarta, there are awareness of regarding the importance of cycling infrastructure has been arising thanks to the transportation ministerial regulation concerning the safety of cyclists on the road. So we may see more and better infrastructure in the near future. The last, the distance is too far. How far is it too far? If one thing that it is too far, there's an alternative way to doing it. It is by mixing cycling and other modes of transportation. For example, trains or buses. In this case, one only has to cycle the first and last mile trip. Or we can also use an e-bike. Now, however, the thing about bicycling is that it's fun and energy giving rather than energy consuming. So I think we are better to do it rather than have too much to worry how we are facing on the road or something like that. Now, after we decided to do it, how we keep our motivation up. I think these are some the tips that we can offer based on our experiences. So first of all, just have fun. Don't let the weather hold us back. There are so many ways to make the cycling fun as it can be. The option most people choose are changing the roads from time to time or taking a scenic detour, or if there's any, of course. So we can consult our maps to explore our nearest area to our destination. And then we can remember the positives that we are making or achieve. We can also chart our progress. We can use apps like Strava or Endomondo. And also one of the things that I think is important is to be part of a community. Belonging to a community helps us to have motivation to keep what we have been doing. So I think this is the important part of our decision. Now, surely there is no such thing as a fast lane to getting used to cycling daily. This is about changing habits and behaviors, changing our hearts and our minds, and to build a new culture. It needs time, but most importantly, it needs our willingness and decision to, in the first place, to do it. Only after decision has been made, I think the rest goes to how we keep our motivation up. Yeah, I think that is what I have to present. This is about Back to Work Indonesia. It's a bit of it. It's as an idea, Back to Work Indonesia saw the light of day when some of mountain biking enthusiasts agreed to turn choice to commute by bicycles into a movement, a moral movement. And it is officially declared on August 27, 2005. As an organization, Back to Work Indonesia actually don't have membership. There is no formal legal enrollment or something like that. It is however open for participants or well-wishers from every walk of life. And it's run by few volunteers who love bicycle and believe in cycling as a key to better cities. And basically, we do our jobs around 4 pathways: advocacy, campaign, education, and social. Now, along with some of our achievements over the years, is a major winner of its relentless advocacies, and campaign is the rolling out of cycling network on Jakarta city streets since 2019. I think that's all for me. To you again, Pak Alistair.
Thank you, Pak Purwanto. That's exactly what we need. We need to change 10 million motorcycles into non-motorized vehicles. So the challenge goes back to our friends in Waste for Change. How do you recycle a motorcycle? Can you take the motorcycles and do something useful with them when the government says, sorry, we have to reduce the number? You got any use for a motorcycle? Can you recycle it?
I think we can what it's called, like sort it, the materials that can be recycled, and then some of the electronic waste or the mechanical waste can be also. I think there are some people who, or some industry that already can do it. So yeah, I think if we have that project, then we can make it work.
I think it's a great project. We have certainly got too many motorcycles, but people will say there's no residual value in a motorcycle. There's got to be all sorts of things you can do with them. I'm sorry, that's kind of a frivolous question. We are now open to questions of course, to Randy, to Pak Purwanto, to everybody. They're all still here. What we set out to do at the beginning of this webinar was to try and find a road to healthier and more sustainable living. They're really changing to cycling, as we've just heard, ticks a lot of those boxes all in one. It's good for us personal health. It reduces our expenditure, it reduces pollution. There isn't really any downside at all. Now, if you go to Amsterdam, a lot of people say you're more likely to get run over by a bicycle than by a car. Most of the Scandinavian capitals have more bicycles than they have cars as well. Can we really expect to get that sort of mass movement here where we can actually get 10 million people off? And quite right, the first mile, last mile thing works as well. They're not going to all cycle from Depok into Sudirman. They're going to cycle to a train station or an LRT station. So it's the first mile, last mile, which is very important. But can we really integrate this and get a mass movement? We've been going since for a few years now. All of the benefits are there. People can see them now. Are you hopeful that you're going to get even more support from the government to make this happen? That's a question to you, Purwanto. Are we going to get more support from the government, not just in Jakarta, but across everywhere? Can we get corporations to say, bike to work? There's an incentive to bike to work, to your factory, to your office, to your place of work. I mean, there's got to be other ways of attacking this rather than just legislation. I love what you're doing. I think it's really important that we get people off motorcycles, out of their cars and onto bikes. We've got a trend going. How do you make that a mass trend?
Thank you, Alistair. First of all, of course, we need willingness and political will from the government. And I think with the ministerial regulation on the safety of cycling on the road, we actually have started to explore this area. So we have most of cities that we are connected with our chapter, they are all started to rolling out their bicycle lanes. and that is a good sign from each of the cities or district government. Now we are also need other things this other than bicycle lanes. Yes, like support from the government to corporations or businesses, how they can support their employees to get to office by bicycling. And they need to give something that they can choose or make they want to do it. And also we need more facilities like a place where we can have a shower, change clothes, something like that, and where we can park our bicycles. And this is, yes, this is a huge thing to do, but I think to learn from what Netherlands has done so far, it is not impossible to reach, to achieve what has been achieved in that country or any other country that has been achieved something that Netherlands has already achieved.
I just was looking at the Netherlands plan for cycle to work. In fact, I just made a little article on that in Now Jakarta, the bike to work movement. They have parking places designated for bicycles to keep them safe, which we don't have here. Office buildings, I don't think necessarily welcome them yet. Delivery services, we go back to Grab. I mean, delivery services across Amsterdam, across Netherlands are done by bicycle. You've got bicycle couriers in New York City and London. There's a huge amount of conversion that can take place once we get that trend going. I would love to see, any delivery within 5 kilometers you just can't do by motorcycle. Sorry, guys, it's a bicycle delivery. You have to do that. It's 5 kilometers. It's nothing. What possibility do we have of having that kind of dynamic change? Is there anything like that on the cards with the government?
You just mentioned about delivery. Now we have several services like Bike Messenger, something like, and other small companies like that. They use cargo bikes. Several people now use cargo bikes to like having gathering in Sudirman or in Jalan Kendal before pandemic to join our campaign, and they serve coffee from their cargo bikes. These cargo bikes can be used to delivery services like they do in the Netherlands. We will see this growing for the next month. I think after we can free from this pandemic, there will be more like this that will be compete with what has been already available right now, like GNA or maybe a Grab and Gojek. And for these services, as far as I know, there is yet to be regulated, but I think it's not difficult to accept this as a daily services that we can offer to our societies.
Let's get it started, Pawanto. We go back to a question from Michele Mioni, who I know is a hotelier somewhere out in Indonesia now, I think, but he's joined us. He's asked what are we doing for lobbying? Okay, we've got Waste for Change, EvoWare, Bike to Work, and Parongpong. Each of you has necessities from the local and national governments. Randy, do you do active lobbying to try and get change? Is that part of what you have to do to get recognition from and support from the government? How do you go about that? The second question is about scalability from Michele. He's asking, yes, well, it's not only Java and Bali, as we've now discovered with the COVID pandemic. There are a lot of people outside Java and Bali spread over all of the other islands. Are we doing things better there because they're less congested? Are we doing things worse there? Can we scale things up? Can we make things better? Let's go to Randy first of all for legislation and lobbying.
Yeah, I think this is a very important question. Right now, Parongpong is working with two partners on these issues. The first of all is the Ministry of Tourism. We are working with around 100 spots all over Indonesia to improve the tourism destination, not only in terms of waste management, but also on the health protocols. And we are also thinking about how to move the focus from consuming the resources, but instead of creating things, as I mentioned before. Because if we keep consuming the nature, we keep building things in place which should not be built, and then we take the air, we take the water, and even we take the freedom from the locals, because everything is actually under this big management. So we are lobbying the government in terms of tourist destination to switch this way of thinking. Previously, everything is about, it's a very beautiful nature, and then we build something, and then we take everything without giving nothing back to the society and to nature. Now it's already changed. I think a lot of good initiatives coming, especially from the 7th division that I'm working right now. Bu Kiki is the deputy. I think there's a lot of improvement. And if we are talking about outside Java and Bali, I'm actually advisor for Lingkar Temu Kabupaten Lestari, which is actually non-government institution supporting districts in Indonesia. Right now, we are working with 10 districts all over Indonesia outside Java and Bali. So we don't have any projects in Java and Bali about this improvement. And I believe that it's easier there. I mean, because there's not much, this is a funny way to think about it, but there's not much competition, When I first start this sustainable business, I thought that everyone will be friend because we are reaching to the same goals, right? But on field, it's not actually the case, People will take our research, people will claim that what we do is actually part of their programs and everything. So I'm quite shocked. That's happening in Java and Bali, to be honest. So this is the ugly truth. Not only the government needs to be educated, but also the startups, the new entrepreneurs in terms of sustainability need to know about business ethics. So when people start something, they need to collaborate instead of just taking their research and claim about it. But outside Java and Bali, I don't see this kind of competition. Everyone is very supportive of what we do, and because this is maybe the first time they hear about zero waste, the first time they hear about sustainability, So for me personally, working outside Java and Bali is even better. And this is something that really giving us hope, because in Java, most of the waste management sending their things to Surabaya, right? Because everything is there. There's the big recycle factory. And if you talk about cement kiln, yeah, it's also in Java. But if you're thinking about outside Java and Bali, there's a lot of opportunity because they don't have the big factory, the big recycle factory, and they don't have the big cement kiln to send the residual waste. So everything is about changing the way of we behave, how we reduce our waste instead of making things and then having people to take over that problems by paying them to do so, you know. So I think what Michelle mentioned is very important, and a lot of great leaders from outside Java and Bali right now is looking forward to this kind of collaboration. We are talking with a major of Manado right now. It's one of the biggest city outside Java and Bali, and the problems actually quite the same. The landfills is full. They don't have choices on how they should treat their waste. But this is what happened in Kamikatsu, right? When Kamikatsu Municipal in Japan, they don't have incinerators and they need to deal with their own waste, and then they reach 80% of recycling rate. So I think outside of Java and Bali is even better. That's why I think David is also working a lot of project outside of Java, Bali right now, because those kind of factors is the key of success, I think. Collaboration and the common goals.
Thank you, Randy. There are some things, as you said, some things just don't need to be developed. And that's one of the things which hasn't quite got through to the governmentality yet. There's a nice area in South Lombok called Mandalika, one of my favorite places, one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. People take the sand home, it's so nice. And they're building a MotoGP circuit there.
Yeah.
I think one of the most inappropriate areas to develop for that purpose anywhere.
Unfortunately.
Beyond belief, frankly.
Yeah, I think since you are mentioning about sands, this is one of the resources in Indonesia, particularly that people not really talking about. I mean, like I'm from a very small island called Bangka. So if you go to Pantai Indah Kapuk right now, actually those are my sands from my childhood. Now it's in Jakarta, you know. So why people not talking about sands? But sands is one of the resources that already in danger. So I just want to show a quick result of our research. This is our material made from single-use mask, and it's actually 100% replacing sands. We're not using sands at all. We are using the recycled materials from single-use mask. So I do impressed with a lot of startup in Indonesia. They're talking about plastic. Of course, people understand the plastic problems, and then they talk about organic waste, which is also the biggest amount of volume because they are 60% of all the waste. But we need to start to think about the things that people not talk about, like textile. You already mentioned Marina. She's a very good friend of mine, and she's, I think, one of the best sustainable fashion expert in Indonesia, based in Bali right now. And then we need to talk about, cigarette butt, single-use mask. We need to think about sand, because if you're not solving it, our children will. But the question is, will they able to survive when they are doing it?
That's a very good point. Look, we've just got time for one wrap up from each of our panelists. Hannah, are you still there? I would like your final wish. This is going to everybody who's listening personally. What would you like them to do today to change their lives? That's the same question to all of you. What would you like them to do today to change their lives to become more healthy, more sustainable?
Yeah, I think we need to start to do with ourselves, with as small as we can. So it not need to be very grande or with so many people. Just start with ourselves, because when we see that the government is slow, or maybe you don't have friends that has the same mindset as you, then just start with ourselves, and especially to start to educate ourselves to segregate the waste. It is because I'm from Waste for Change, and that is what I want to the people here to do and start the segregations of waste in their house.
Thank you, Hannah. David, we know that you want everyone to take better materials, but can they actually find them? when they're looking for your stuff, can they go into a major supermarket and find them? When they're walking around going, oh, I've got to get those goods, or do you have to do it shopping online? I know you want people to change their habits. Are you making it easy for them to change their habits?
Yes, like at the moment we are focusing actually on like B2B, but like people that would like to buy like personally, like they can buy online. So we are not in the retail market yet, but like we are online is like in like Tokopedia or any online like e-commerce.
But can you order on Tokopedia
Yes.
without getting it bubble wrapped and 14 times wrapped?
Yes.
Buy your
Yes,
your responsible materials wrapped in irresponsible materials. What a
so yes. So we have actually like those like to replace a single-use bubble wrap as well from like craft paper that are actually like just to replace the bubble wraps. That one, yeah. So it won't be coming in plastics for sure.
So get online,
Yeah.
order your Evoware and your Evo World goods, and it won't come wrapped in bubble wrap. Well done, David.
Yes.
Randy,
Thank you.
Your message to all of the people listening. What do you want them to do today?
Yeah, so for me personally, and also as part of what I do in Parampong, every 12 seconds, one children lost their parents during this pandemic. So what we need to really think about, please don't do this for money or do it for fame, but do it for our children, because we are not here forever. And when we are not here, they need to deal with their own problems, not ours. So this is what we do in Parampong and what we want to achieve, because it's not takes a village to raise a child, and we want to create those villages.
Thank you very much indeed. But I think we know what you want everyone to do. You want them to go out and get a bike. And if they can't get a bike today, at least leave your motor vehicle at home and walk. That's another little hidden secret to health. You don't need to buy anything either, do you? But yes, tell us your wish list for today.
Yeah, I think I want to start from these two quotes. One is that bicycle is a simple solution to some of the world's most complicated problems.
Oh.
And two, nothing compares to the simple pleasure of bike ride. So let's switch parts of our travel or commute to cycle to make our life better. Thank you.
Thank you. So to all of our expert speakers, you really are expert. You've done a great deal of thinking about what people need to do. You actually have the solutions in your hands. We've told everyone there's now no excuse for anyone who's listening or going to get any presentations not to make at least one change. Got 4 possibilities, at least do one of them. On behalf of MVB, I'd like to thank all of my speakers. I'd like to thank everyone who's been listening. All of the presentations are available to you. We're coming back with sustainable textiles, and then we're going to be working on sustainable tourism again, because that's a very visible industry when it comes back. Thank you very much indeed, and good morning. Stay safe, stay masked, get vaccinated, and we'll see you all again soon. Thank you very much indeed for everybody who's joined us. And if your question hasn't been answered, we'll get back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcome Ms. Nur Enda.
Oh, somebody else is
Thank
talking.
you. Bye-bye.
I don't know.